there's a lot of craziness going on in the world today, and there's a lot of very important issues that maybe we're not aware of. So I think today is a very important episode because a lot of things can slip through the cracks. But you know what slipped through the cracks? Can be rose again. So let's a little illusion there. Greetings, Signature Studio Spotlight Series. This is the Bald Guy in the Red Tie, John Butler, your favorite bald-headed red tie wearing show host with Miss Susan Ebert here in Murrieta, California. And are you excited for today? You ready to go? Are you ready to get into this?
I love this subject. I love these people, and this is something that needs to be shared with the world.
This is a powerful topic. You know, we have a nice range and spectrum of conversations that we have in the studio, but today is going to be something that's probably going to be a tearjerker, something that's going to be very inspiring, and something that's very important. There's a lot of kids out here that need help. And so to share these stories, we have Maria
Baldovinos.
I knew I was going to mess it up.
You're good.
And Miss Allie or Allison Decker. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you
for having us.
So let's get started. So Rose Again Foundation, tell us about it. What's going on with it?
So basically, Rose Again Foundation was founded 8 years ago in 2013 by Natalie Dixon. She was actually at school at Rancho Christian School, and she went on a high school field trip to Guatemala, I believe. Yeah. And she was so inspired there. It was an orphanage, yes. That she came back and decided she wanted to do something for the community. So she started to look around the area, Temecula, Murrieta, and see what was out there and what the community needed. And she decided to focus on serving foster children and families. So then she interviewed a bunch of social workers and foster families and parents, and just to see what they needed help with and what the need was. And she put a board together, and here we are.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then so you've actually, you're in with Rose Again Foundation, but you've actually were in the foster system. Is that right?
Yes.
So what was that like? I mean, I've heard stories about it, but what's the real story of what it was like?
Honestly, it's really frustrating when you're like in the system, when, you know, there's social workers making decisions for you, the teachers, the counselors, and it almost feels like sometimes you don't have a voice. You just kind of have to do what you're told to do because you can't really like say anything about it because you're still a minor, even though you have like, you know, if there's a situation where you think it'll be best for you, even if you try to advocate for yourself, it kind of always leads up to the social worker. Social workers are the ones who have the most power over foster parents, over anything else, so they're like the final decision maker of like your life choices.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so just, you know, from being on the outside, you know, I didn't go through that situation, but I've just heard some stories where it's pretty rough sometimes. I mean, sometimes there's a lot of good things that happen through the foster system, and then sometimes there's not so much. What was your experience like? Was it a positive one, or?
I would say it was like a combination. So I was raised by a single mom, and, you know, she was a prostitute. You know, because we were on welfare, on food stamps and things like that, and it was never enough to get us through the month. So my mom was a prostitute, and me being the oldest, I would have to watch my little brothers and sisters. And because of such a high traffic of, you know, men coming in and out of my house constantly, I always had to protect my siblings.
Wow.
Even at night, like I would be the one that would stay up late and just to make sure like no one would, you know, touch my siblings. And if I were to come into that situation, even as like 5 years old, I would make sure I'm the first one to grab.
Wow.
Because I didn't want that happening to my siblings.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 3. So I have a sister and 2 brothers.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what age was this that you went through that?
My memories go as far as 3 years old. And then my mom started trading me when I was like around 7 to her first boyfriend. And it was just like downhill from there. Wow. And just in and out of the system. So I was placed into foster care when I was about to enter 5th grade. And it was bad because, you know, you have these social workers that come to your house, right? So I remember like I answered the door and they're like, oh, like we need to talk to your mom. And like I just watched the conversation like escalate. And I knew something was bad happening. And we lived in a little studio home that was meant for one person to live, and there was like 5 of us in there. And the social workers like looked in the fridge, and you know it's empty. You know there's insects everywhere. Like there's cockroaches. Like the dirtiest home you could imagine.
Where was this at?
In Fresno, California.
Oh wow, I'm from Bakersfield, so yeah.
Oh,
Central Valley. There you go.
Yeah, so you know Fresno.
Oh yeah, I know Fresno.
Yeah. So we were removed, and I remember like being placed in the back of the cops car with my siblings, and they were crying, and I felt like I couldn't cry because I was the oldest, and I had to be strong for them. And we were placed in a Filipino foster home, which was really hard because you know we're Hispanic, and we had lice at the time too because of all the neglect that we went through. And like you can just tell like the difference in how she treated her kids versus us. We were never allowed to play with each other, never allowed to open the fridge, never allowed to open the pantry, never allowed to play outside. Like,
So you weren't placed into a loving, warm environment.
No way.
And were
Yeah,
you guys
no.
all together, you and your siblings?
Yeah, we were together, but just like we weren't allowed to play with each other. Like you would walk in that house and you would hear like a pin drop. Like you would never think kids are living there. Just because she had a high schooler at the time and a middle schooler. So I don't know if she was just done raising kids or I don't know. But you can tell like she was just doing it for the money. 100%.
So people don't necessarily become foster. I mean, I don't want to make any generalizations, but
Right.
some people get into it for the right reasons, and some people get into it for just
100%.
financial reasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally agree with that. Yeah.
Wow. And was your dad in the picture, or he was gone?
No dad in the picture. We ended up going back with my mom like a year later, and my mom just went back to her old ways. You know, she got clean while we were in the foster care system, so I thought, you know, this is a new start. And then after that, you know, she was selling drugs, and it was just a horrible situation. And then I started to look for love in all the wrong places, and I got pregnant at like 15.
Wow.
And by the time I was in middle school, I was doing methamphetamine with my mom.
Wow.
And I had 2 kids by some time. And then the last time we got removed was because my mom was sex trafficking me, finally. So that was like the last time we got removed. And I got pregnant from that too. So by 17, I had 3 kids.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense. It was really intense.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what I love about this show is just getting into people's stories, because
Yeah, you just
you
don't
would
know.
never know.
Yeah.
that all that's inside there. How old are you now?
25.
25 is good.
Yeah.
Well, I've only known you for the past couple minutes, but my first impression of you is just this radiating sense of love and strength. And so, like, to hear your story, I'm like, wow, that's incredible.
And you're in the top,
Yeah.
is it 1%? Because she's in school now, in college.
Yeah, so after aging out of foster care, because, you know, once, you know, kids that don't get adopted, they age out of the foster care system and they're kind of left on their own, you know,
Like
with
just
no
thrown to the
guidance.
streets, kind
Yeah.
of.
So I know that I wanted to go to school, even though I didn't have an example in my life. I knew what I didn't want to be like. So I just knew that school was always my top priority. So I graduated from Mount San Jacinto College last summer, and I got accepted into Cal State San Marcos last fall. So I'm going there currently. But according to statistics, 1% of emancipated foster youth graduate college. Less than 1%. So I'm part of that 1%.
You're the cream of the crop.
Super impressive.
What are you
Yes.
going to be when you grow up?
I want to be like a therapist to help kids overcome their abuse, because I know like that can determine a lot of poor decision making just from like the trauma that kids go through and things like that. But yeah, so I want to be that. You know, I'm here with Rose again. Like I feel like I have a lot of titles. Like I'm also like a mentor for foster kids and a motivational speaker for them too, and like I'll get invited places. So it's just an honor, you know.
Have you thought of writing a book about your
That is so
story
funny.
of your life?
Funny you
I mean,
say that.
it's such. Are you writing one?
I
Me
am.
too.
I'm actually in the process of publishing one.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, so you've already written it.
Yes.
So now it's publishing.
It's I just
You're
spoke
shocked.
to someone this week about helping me publish it. So.
Because didn't you
Yeah.
self-publish?
I self-published. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
What's the name of
Thank
it?
you. Rejuvenated.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the tie-in with Rose again? Did you go through, like, how did that
Yes.
come about?
So again, when I mentioned I was, 18, fresh out of the foster care system, I heard about them through one of the housing programs that I was in. And I just felt like kind of like Rose again, like immediately came by my side. Like they were there to support me. They provided financial assistance for food and groceries and scholarships to school. And they were just always a really great support system. And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't alone, because you kind of feel like that when you're navigating such a big world. And it's frustrating when people expect you to know everything as a young adult, and that can build up a lot of pressure. So just having like that mentorship and that love and that support was just like out of this world for me.
Wow.
And so it meant so much to me that I wanted to volunteer, and then I became an intern, and I'm the program administrator. And I've been with them. This will be my 5th year.
So you have literally Rose again.
Yes, and that's the purpose of Rose Again Foundation. Yeah.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the prime example. Like, I didn't know where that story was going to go, and it just kept, I was like, oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Like
That's
you know,
our
we-
mission.
I think we take it for granted,
Yeah.
being raised in a normal childhood and stuff like that. And, we always go, oh, my dad's so mean, he turned off the cable or something like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
something
Right.
silly. And it's like, then you hear a story like yours, and it just puts everything in context.
Have you been
Perspective.
able to help your siblings?
In some parts, yes, but they're adults now and they're able to make their own decisions, even though it's hard for me to watch sometimes. But I just have to be the example and just continue to press forward.
Yeah.
Do you have any connection with your mom?
Last I spoke to her, she was, I guess, passing away in a hospital last year. So I kind of went to say my goodbyes with my siblings and kind of put that to rest.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. But during that time, since she lost us, she's been homeless, still on drugs, still like
Never got out of the cycle, huh?
never got out of the cycle. And that was really heartbreaking to watch, because as crazy as it sounds, many of the foster kids still hope that their parents are able to get it together.
Yeah.
That's like the still hope that they still hold on to, even though, the reality is that they're not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, that's deep.
It is, and I'm amazed. What would you say has carried you through this?
Definitely God.
Mm-hmm.
God's definitely, like, he's really pulled me out of that. Like, he's used every part of my story to, like, glorify him and, like, bring inspiration and love and support to other foster kids. And, like, I love working with Alison, because, like, we're the opposite when it comes to our personalities. Like, she's more outgoing and I'm, like, more quiet. But you know what? Like, I love working with her. Like, she, like, inspires me to be a better woman as well.
Yeah.
And, like, she's one of, like, the many strong women in my life.
But it's
I'm
funny
so
that she
grateful
says
for her.
that, though, because I say the same thing. Like, there's so many things that I'm going through, and I'm even like, gosh, I can't believe, like, this is my biggest problem right now. Like, look at Maria and what she's been through, you know? Like,
Yeah.
but she really, so it puts things into perspective, but also just learning her story and being around her and still being positive and so strong and watching her mentor people. I've seen her share her story a couple times, and I've heard some of her poems and things like that. And so many people are drawn to her. I've seen so many people cry in your arms that just, she's touched. And I think even with the kids, something that stuck with me that you told me about is some of the kids, so I'm even worried, and I'm really like fragile with a lot of the children, because you said some have their guard up and they'll even wonder, like, why are you being so nice to me? You
Right.
must want something from me.
Right.
So she really helps give me insight. Like, there's certain triggers and things that I would have never known about either. And I thought that was really interesting. So I think also a lot of our kids probably would feel more comfortable talking to her rather than me, you know? So we both play on each other's strengths and weaknesses with that. Like, I do a lot of more of the business and like meeting people out. I think you're really outgoing. She can speak in front of people and I am terrified. So it really does, like, it's a really fun, cool bond. And she's became a part of our family. And even our Christmas event, it would be your foster siblings, which how many of those do you have?
I have a lot of foster siblings. I have like 10, 12 of them. So when we get together, it's really loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, so over Christmas they came and they helped us just with getting all the red bags together for the kids, and my kids loved them. They're like, is Mario coming? Is so-and-so? And so it became like this big family, you know. We'd eat dinners together, and you even helped one recently find God, right? I don't know if we can talk about that.
Yeah,
but she,
absolutely.
that's what an influence she is, talking about her siblings. They're her foster siblings, but still they became even a big part of our family.
Because
is cool.
how did you find God? How old were you, and where did he come in?
It was after I was removed out of the foster care system, and after moving around like group homes and foster homes. I was in a foster home down in Visalia, and I got involved with Young Life, which is a Christian ministry introducing young moms to, you know, God. And at the time, I was like, there's no way, like, God exists. Like, he let all of this happen to me. So, like, I was really closed off in the beginning. But, like, over time, my guard came down, and, like, I felt like it was time for me to stop fighting against him. And so, like, I finally accepted him at one of the camps that I was invited to with my kids. And it was such a getaway for us from, like, the real world, you know, because it was so overwhelming. Like, I remember when the school bus would come pick me up with my kids, I would have my newborn strapped to me and a toddler in each hand, getting off that school bus. One would run that way and the other one would run that way. Like, it was chaos. Like, it was hard because, you know, you would get judged right away because people assumed the worst about me, thinking, oh, like, she just slept around, like, but they had, like, no idea, like, about my story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's when I accepted God, and, you know, it hasn't been easy. Like, a relationship with God is, like, not, like, one and done, because my impression was that once you accept God, like, your life's peachy.
Yep.
Like that.
The process just begins.
It is not like that. No.
Test number 1.
Yeah.
Trial number 2.
No, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And then the final home we were placed in, so funny. So, after I accepted God, my foster mom at the time sat me down and was like, you know, we can't keep you anymore. Like, you're going to have to move. And I was like, God, what happened? Like, I just accepted you. And so, like, I was praying, like, help me to trust you. And my mentor at the time had given me a devotional Bible. And so I decided to pray, and I was like, okay, yeah, like, tell me what to do. Like, what do I do? So I flipped through it randomly, and it says, right now you may be unable to see through your troubles, but focus on me and trust me for the way out, and that's all I need to begin my work in you. And I was like, wow.
I love Bible roulette. Or you just open it up. Oh, talk to me. It's the best.
Yeah. And so before that, I had gone to another teen mom camp up in Hume Lake. And at each meal time, when all the moms would come in with the babies to come sit down and eat, there would be like a line of staff waiting to watch the babies while the mommies ate. So there was like this woman that really stood out to me at the time, and I didn't know why. But anyway, so I was back in Visalia, and I get a phone call from the social worker, and it's like, okay, we have 2 foster homes that are interested in you. There's one in Orange County, and there's one in Hume Lake. And I was like, okay. And she was like, the one in Hume Lake is a Christian family. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Like, I want my life to be centered around God. So I, you know, chose the one in Hume Lake. And as we're driving up to the cabin to where this new foster home is, this woman comes out, and it was the same woman at that camp.
I have chills.
It was the same woman, and I was like, oh, I remember you. And she was like, oh, yeah, you were at the camp. And I was like, oh, my gosh. Like, I met you before I even met you. Like, so crazy. And, like, for the first time, like, my kids, like, you know, they felt loved, and, you know, they had a grandma and grandpa, and, like, it was just wonderful.
How old are the kids now?
8, 9, and 10.
And what are their names?
All boys.
Oh, I love boy mom. I'm boy mom. I like it.
Vladimir, Arturo, and Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Do you love someone? You got anything boom chicka bow wow going on?
No.
Because God is good in that too.
I've been praying on it. And
Yeah.
nothing yet.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome when he does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too.
And you have that unconditional love towards you and towards your kids.
Yeah.
I can see that happening
Yeah.
so easily.
Yeah.
Because, boy, you are beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And your
You're so
eyelashes.
nice.
You know, I'm just saying, I got a thing with eyelashes.
Are you asking me out?
No, I don't do that one. Okay, do you want to know what I love about you?
What?
I grew up, I have 8 siblings,
Okay.
and so there's 9 of us, and 2 houses down, that family was also always a foster family. And so we always had the foster kids come and go. And we would see the ones that would be there for a year, there'd be one for 2 years, it'd be 6 months, 7 months, and we met every single person, and they became a part of our childhood and our block, right?
Wow.
And so when those parents passed away, of course, I was at that service, and all the foster kids were there.
Oh.
Wow.
And we all got to see each other, you know, now as our lives had unfolded, and we knew each other on this block.
Yeah.
But there is a kindred spirit with those other foster kids and those families. They are your family, because I felt like they were mine, and they weren't even mine.
Wow.
And
That's
so,
amazing.
yeah, I've always loved and had a heart for not what you've gone through, but the results of good parents stepping in
Yeah.
when kids truly need them.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
just so would you ever be a foster parent yourself?
If I have the time.
Yeah, she's like, yeah. Remember the ages and their names and their boys?
So here's the other thing. So when I turned 18, I had to come to the realization that I couldn't face the real world with my 3 kids. So my foster parents at the time had offered to care for them so that I can go to school and work and things like that. And that was like a really hard decision to make at 18. But I know that I wanted them to be in a good home that would give them, you know, that attention that they needed, you know, the help with homework and extracurricular activities. So my kids are with my foster parents. They're not living with me.
So the ones in whom? Which one?
Yeah, so we moved down here, so to this area. So I get to see them every other weekend.
Oh
But,
my
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
The most unconditional, loving thing a parent could ever do was say, I want something for you that I can't give you right now.
Yeah.
What a beautiful heart and soul you have.
I had to accept that because I knew I wouldn't have made this much progress if they were with me in reality, as much as I wanted to be that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to drag them with me, if that makes sense, because they deserve to be in a good, safe, and loving home. You know, at the end of the day, that's what matters, and it gives me peace.
Are they just so glad to see you, though, when they see you?
Yeah, they are.
Mhm.
They are.
Come running to our gym.
Nothing like 3 boys, huh?
Oh yeah.
Do you have 3 boys?
I
by
got
any
3
chance?
boys. I
Oh,
do.
Wow.
And now they're older. So then, now you guys and your story. So how did you guys meet, and how did you land in the position that you are in, and where do you see it going?
So basically this would have been right before COVID hit. So probably 2019. Brian and I had started just talking about philanthropies and nonprofits, wanting to get more involved in the community. Also, my kids were going into school, so I was starting to have a little bit more time on my hands. And I just happened to be training with someone that I was like, you know, I'm not sure I know I want it to have to do with kids, but we were also kind of newer to Temecula at the time. And she was like, oh my gosh, there's this really cool, like, local nonprofit. I think you should get involved with them, Amanda. And so I somehow ended up at Rhonda's house. I probably called or texted you guys, you know, and emailed you guys. And so I met at the old CEO's house, and it was just so personal, genuine. The Rose Again office was her house. And so I came, and I remember I met you, and she'd always have like tea and like little, you know, sandwiches. And we would go over things, and we were actually starting fundraising. And literally this would have been January 2020, and then COVID hit. So we were like, what the heck? Like, I was going to do this cool tea party with moms and daughters. And so we ended up still doing Easter baskets, but we would just have to deliver them like outside the doors to all the kids. And one thing that I always noticed, because we give to, you know, so many nonprofits and charities, but they always wrote us an email every month, like, thank you for this. This is exactly what it went to. We had 2, you know, emergency placement babies, and this went to diapers and, you know, a crib and this and that. And so I really loved that they kept us in the know. And then they would give us handmade thank you cards from the kids. And that, for me, I'm from the South. My mom still to this day, if the kids have a birthday or get a present or anything, I better have, you know, a handmade thank you card out to her. I can't even buy one, you know, you can't do that. So we're kind of old school in that way. So when we received those, it was the sweetest thing. And then it also taught my kids, they had so much fun, like filling the Easter baskets. We went and delivered together, even though we couldn't really meet the families due to COVID. But they loved seeing the thank you cards too. I mean, they would just light up like, we got thank you cards today, and we still have them all to this day. So that, I think, for me, just made it so personal, and it really made them stand out. And it was just so genuine and kind-hearted. So basically, that's how we met, because you were already there when I met you. Yes. And then COVID hits, and then basically this year in June, I knew both of my kids would be in school full time for the first time. And my husband's like, you are going to bother me. Please find something to do and keep you busy. You know, you need something. He's like, but you don't necessarily have to work. It needs to be something you're passionate about. And I knew I loved kids, but I kind of in my head was like, oh, there's already Rose again. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So right then, Rhonda, the CEO, sends me a text. It's like, hey, we're going to have to shut down Rose Again Foundation. My husband's really sick. And basically the whole family was moving out of state to Idaho. And so I forwarded like instant. I have chills every time I tell the story. I forwarded it to Brian, and I'm like, is this exactly what we've been talking about and looking for? And he was like, oh my gosh, it is. So I even called you guys, and we all agreed, even Ron and I like said this at the same time, like, this has never felt more right. Like 100%, you know, in, and they had been praying about it. I had been praying about it. And what's funny is I always thought people were so lucky that like grew up and they knew right away they were a good singer and they were going to be a singer. I never really had that. I knew I loved kids, and I knew like I had a heart that was just passionate for people and wanting to make a difference. And I was always like, why don't I have that luck? And then literally, I feel like I got closer with God through quarantine and COVID, and he literally dropped it in my lap. And I was like, finally one of those people, like, this is so great. So of course it's scary too. I mean, to go from a stay-at-home mom to, hey, you're a CEO, and they also say CUO for Chief Unpaid Officer. It really was like, you know, that's a big transition. There were some nights I'd lay awake and I'd pray and I'd be like, what'd you get yourself into? Are you going to be good at this? And because my husband's really good at what he does, I think I felt pressure there too, but he was always really supportive. And the real estate community in itself has really, you've seen it, has been incredibly supportive. So we just kind of dived in, and we started small with the programs, and I'm a big event person, so we added like some events in there, and literally it has changed my life. Like, you know, people will come and be like, thank you for taking over. But I'm like, thank you for allowing me to do this, because it has really changed my life. Yeah. So super cool.
That is dynamic. And so now you guys are like the dynamic duo out there.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She's part-time because of work, but I mean, she's awesome. She's always, you know, super hands-on. And honestly, I don't think I would have been able to take over. That's a big part, without knowing that she was going to be there, because I mean, I really would have gone in just not knowing anything. And so luckily knowing that Maria was staying on and would be a support system, and you know, we worked out our groove really quick. I feel like it was pretty instant, which was nice. Yeah.
So how many families do you serve right now? And how many do you hope to serve?
Well, I would say close to like 300 foster children and families, because that's like almost the amount we had at our Christmas event, with everyone there, with adults and kids, and like, so around there annually.
Wow.
Yeah, we had 100 adults RSVP and 200 kids. But they've served over 1,000 in total through all the years. But we do Temecula and Murrieta right now. I would love at some point to widen that range, but we will have families that come to us and they're like, oh my gosh, we just found out that they have siblings like in Hemet or something like that. This happened to us recently, and we were like, no, like, let them come to the back to school event. We'd love to have them. And then, you know, they get to enjoy time with their family. And we met one of the moms, and she was like, and Maria was like, can we do the invite for our Christmas event too and let them come? And I remember the mom told us, this stuff always gets me emotional, but I'm trying not to. But she said that she would have to like sell something of her own to even just give the kids one gift. And so we were just so happy to be able to provide that, and, you know, have the kids be sponsored and get gifts and have a fun family event. You know, what my goal is to have awesome memories to replace those things in the past. And I truly believe whenever you hear about like crime and violence and these horrible people out there, it always goes back to their past and something happened. And these kids are innocent children that didn't deserve any of this. And I think it's important to show them that they're worthy of love and they deserve love. And I truly think you're making the world a better place, because hopefully that allows their heart to be good and to grow up and want to do well.
yeah, and that next generation, we're passing that legacy on.
Mm-hmm.
And what a beautiful thing you're passing on, you guys.
I know.
So what's a day in the life at Rose Again look like? So what is something you do on a consistent basis for a family? Give me an example.
So our ongoing program for like the whole year, 24/7, is our emergency new placement program. Since COVID, you know, we have seen more drug babies, unfortunately. So I'm the one who receives like the application from the foster family. They'll send me the paperwork and I'll get all the information, you know, how old they are, boy or girl, favorite color, what special needs do they have. Because a lot of the time these drug babies are going through withdrawals. So we have to purchase like a socklet that goes on their little feet and it monitors their heart rate and their breathing, just so the foster parent can sleep peacefully at night in case, you know, they stop breathing or something that alerts them. And there's like different items that we purchase, like special need items. There's something called like a baba cush, and the babies will like sleep on it, and it's like the heartbeat of a mother, and it comforts them because they're going through like those withdrawals. So I'll send that info to Alison, and she's like the best shopper ever. So I do the off the stuff, and she'll like go and shop and deliver and meet the families. So that's like a 24/7 thing, like. And, you know, we'll get calls, you know, anytime at any given day, like during the holidays, Christmas, like we're there because we know like these kids mostly arrive with nothing but their clothes on their back. And so they need to feel that love from the community, like you're welcome here, like, you know, we love you, like, you know, we're here to support you.
How does someone find you guys? Like, how do they know to go to you?
So a lot of the families, it's word of mouth or agencies that hear about us. It's that sort of thing, or like a website, Google search, something. Because when foster children are placed in the home of the foster parent, they don't get a check until like 3 months in. So like they have like 4 siblings, and all these siblings need clothes, they need shoes, you know, food, etc., and it adds up quick. So like we're so blessed to like be here in this position to like be able to help them in some way. Yeah.
And then where do you go and gather your funds to keep Rose Again funded and running?
So we're not government funded at all. Like it's all private donors, fundraisers. And that's how we met Alison and Brian, because they're one of our biggest donors at the time, and they just give so consistently. But it's like our monthly donors, you know, people that fundraise. So it's basically on our own and grants sometimes too.
Wow.
Through social media, we'll usually say, we just got a 4-year-old girl, emergency placement. They need this type of crib or bouncer. And Venmo has been big now with that. I feel like that's the most convenient, easy way. So we'll have a lot of people be like, hey, how can we help? You can do PayPal as well. You can do monthly. You can do one time. But yeah, I would say mostly word of mouth. We're hoping to bring fundraisers back. That's something I've never gotten to do yet because of COVID. But we do have people coming to us, that want to do stuff like that. In Old Town, there's been a couple like little pop-ups that we've done. Christmas is a great time of year. So many giving people.
So basically, though, what we need is more of a setup like how we tithe at church. I know that when I get my check, I go and I take 10% and I put it over here. We need people to be doing that there too, right? So you have consistent donors and stuff?
Yeah,
that keep it afloat, or do you ask per cause?
We have a couple monthly, and then we have a couple generous ones too, especially there's Giving Tuesday, end of the year giving. So that sometimes we'll get some really, great amounts.
Good.
And we really keep our spending down. So we don't have an office. Luckily, my husband lets us use modern lending because one of our programs is Good Start. And Albertsons and Vons is very awesome to us. They've provided lots of things. So basically, we give $100 like food gift card depending on how many foster children you have in your home, and they get to come and pick those up monthly. So they'll pick that up from modern lending. I haven't necessarily put our house out there yet. I have 2 little kids, and we're kind of far out in wine country. So modern lending has done that. We have 1 storage unit. So we just pay that, and then Maria's part-time, and that's it spending wise. So I think that helps a lot too. With what's coming in, we make sure all the money, or as much as possible, goes to the families.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I just want you to know that this building is yours.
Oh.
And if you need it for absolutely anything, if
That'd
it's
be
an
great.
event, all it is a simple phone call and a calendar, and that open space in that area, you can use it for whatever you want, you guys.
Thank you.
I want to
That's
come
really
alongside
cool.
you in
Yeah,
this.
we appreciate
I'm
it.
gonna take you up on that. Just
But
so you know.
I want you to,
The
because
last time someone said that, I was like, okay.
But no, because we really do it.
Yeah.
We have our
Mhm.
Santa Claus events for the kids, and the agents
Oh.
have their events, and
Awesome.
we have open houses and Thanksgiving events, and we have our office meetings, and
Yeah.
that open space is a good place to be able to gather.
Yeah.
Yes.
People have their BNI groups that
Yeah.
come,
Yeah.
and whatever we can do to help
Okay.
support. If you have any kind of gathering whatsoever, just kind of
Thank
need to know
you.
date and time, and
Mhm.
everyone signs a little piece of paper when they come in, and
Yeah.
and it's yours if you guys need it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We appreciate
Allison?
it.
Yes, thank you.
No,
I
for
love
real.
that.
And
Thank
then,
you.
Also, just wanted to make sure that we do give, something, and so Marianne has prepared for you a $5,000 check.
What?
For Rose again. And
Oh
so,
my gosh.
So hopefully that will just
I was not
help.
expecting that.
Hopefully it will help with just
Wow.
a piece of a little bit of something.
Aw.
Thank
And,
you.
and then when
I'm like
you
in
have,
shock.
when you have your, I don't know what your donation process is and how you become a monthly giver, but we'd like to sign up for that also.
Oh, thank
and
you.
make sure that we're doing
Super
something
cool.
consistent also.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you.
know, the hardships that you have gone through will
Mhm.
not go unrewarded, and they are not unnoticed, and they are 100% seen by God and all of his angels, and everything that you give back through the pain that you suffered, none of us will be able to fully comprehend it, but God does. And the
Thank
forgiveness and
you.
grace that we get to have is amazing, and I would be honored and humbled to come alongside you guys in any way that I can.
Yeah.
And so I'm really proud of you. And it was funny because this year the office did foster families, and it was a different group of people, and the Christmas tree was just full. And then meeting you at the event,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just, here we go, God, doing it
Yeah.
again. Just putting the
Thank
people
you.
in the right place at the right time.
Wow.
And so it's such an honor to hear your story and to hear the strength and the courage that you've had in order to make some really difficult decisions. But he's not done with you yet, sister. You're in trouble. And once you align yourself with this trouble right now,
Oh, I
there's even more trouble. Because this woman is
Oh, I
a
know.
woman of excellence and
Yes.
grace
She is.
and complete, utter perfection
Yes.
in everything that she does.
Well, that's very nice.
and she's pretty.
She's
And so she's just
beautiful.
on the inside and out. And sometimes people will look at us and they'll look at the outside and they don't know what the
Yes.
inside is. And so I love that you guys have collaborated and
Mhm.
that we both get to see the inside and outside of both of you.
Yes.
What a
Thank
great,
you.
great thing.
I did want to touch up on the other two programs really quickly. So after our emergency new placement program,
Yes.
we have our tutoring program. So because foster kids get moved around a lot, they fall behind quickly academically.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes we get kids that have never even been to school or don't have any academic backgrounds. The first two foster girls that we got were 9 and 11 and couldn't even write their first name.
Oh.
They were behind, and they get placed in the grade level and they don't know what's going on. They're overwhelmed, they're afraid to get called on by the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So we developed our tutoring program. We partner with Clubsy Tutoring, and they have professional tutors that'll come to the foster child's home, and they'll work with them once a week. And we've seen such great success in that program, because kids feel confident now. They could read and write and love school.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the things that we focus on as well as academic.
Love it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Love
because
it.
a lot of the time these kids just, that's how they fall through the cracks.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially,
Yeah.
And we've done our research before developing that. So Temecula Valley School District, they have a peer tutoring group, and that can be kind of intimidating for kids, if you have a peer, tutoring you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then with the Murrieta School District, right now they're offering online tutoring. And we know that's kind of different versus
Yeah.
in-person tutoring. So we've seen such great success with that.
Gosh,
Like,
you're so
truly.
smart.
You're
so smart.
Yeah. And then Allison was just talking about our Good Start program. So a lot of the time foster kids have food insecurities, you know, and that's, you know, when foster kids come from unpredictable environments, not knowing when they're going to get food, what time they're going to get food, you know, where's food going to come from, because, you know, they have like a drug addict mom or a drug addict dad, and you just don't know when food's going to come. You know, they develop food insecurities. So many times a lot of foster kids will either hoard food, they'll hide food, you know, they'll eat a lot because they don't know when the next meal is going to be. So that's part of the Good Start program too. So we give them, like, you know, the grocery gift cards, you know, together with the family, they develop like a grocery list, they go shopping together, they go home, they make a meal together, and they get to bond as a family. So essentially, like, all of these programs are really key to like helping these foster children thrive.
And also SOAR, the extracurricular activities, which we've done. That's just basically if our parents will come to us and be like, hey, you know, so-and-so wants to do a basketball camp, or they want to do baseball. So basically we help with that stuff too, which I think is really good because it, you know, builds their confidence and gives you something to do after school. You're meeting people, being on a team, being a part of something. We also do, I don't want to say it wrong, equine therapy. So, you know, there's horse therapy and things like that for a lot of our kids. So they'll reach out to us too, because a lot of these kids are in therapy, and we'll help them out with that as well. So that's also a really great thing.
Do you know Beth Good?
Hmm?
Do you know Beth Good?
I know Margaret at Green Acres.
Beth Good. You get the name right. It's my aunt. So she has a heart for horses and then just the
And
troubled
that
youth and
therapy.
such. Yeah.
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 You need to be. You need to meet Beth.
Yes. That would be great, because that's a big one for our
Yeah,
kids.
it is.
Yeah,
That's
I think
crazy.
he just got recruited by Susan to
Yeah,
be
we're making
involved. So there we go.
connections here. Yeah.
Well, I know that we had spoken about it, and she was sharing what her heart and her vision and what she had hoped to do. So,
Oh, cool.
She
There you
has
go.
an incredible story. I need to get her on the show, but
yes.
but anyways, yeah, she would. I'm sure she would have a heart to come alongside you guys and.
That would
Yes.
be really awesome.
Yeah, we'd love
I don't
that.
know what's gonna happen, but it's out there now.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
No pressure, bud.
Yeah.
She's like, thanks a lot, Susan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because it gives, you know, foster children an outlet, you know, for their anger and frustration and trauma. Like, it gives them a chance to rebuild new, safe, healthy relationships.
Yeah.
Like, through the extracurricular activity program, like having something to look forward to.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Isn't she developing a Bible study all the way around us, John?
Beth has a whole thing
feel
going
like
on.
Yeah, there's a whole thing going on.
Yeah.
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 So you just totally made like a weave connection point.
Oh
And
my
then, so
God.
yeah.
I know what equinine means. Equinine? What is the word?
Equine?
Yeah.
Equine?
A queen?
What is
Equine.
it?
Equine.
Oh, I'm not gonna use. I don't even know what you're
Horses.
saying. I'm just gonna go horses.
Yeah.
We'll call horses. Yeah, it's incredible though.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot.
That's what I love about these shows is you never know where the conversation or the story is going to go, and it's just so awesome to put you under the spotlight and hear your stories and your heart, and then what I love is the ripple effect, right? So you never know where these stories are going to go and end up, especially on social media and whatnot.
Right.
And it's going to be so cool to see what comes alongside this. Lots of horses, lots of Beth Good. But
You're gonna kill me.
man, yeah. But thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. Any final thoughts? And what's the best way for people to get connected with you guys? Is there a website, or is there a good way to Venmo? What are some ways to connect?
We just updated our website, so that's roseagainfoundation.org.
Okay.
We also have an Instagram, a Venmo, a Facebook. Rose Again Foundation is that. That's probably the best way.
Yeah.
Just our website, social media. You can donate through PayPal, Venmo. You can send a check to the Modern Lending Office. Whatever's easiest, we can come pick it up.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any even just fundraising ideas or any ways they think that they could help out, any creative outlets or anything like that, we love to hear it. I'm open to everything.
Yeah.
And then where we're moving, we're using our RV parking as another storage unit because we have a lot of people that will come to us with some really cool stuff and we just don't have the place to put it. So we're going to have more more places. I just hope we continue to grow and just make an
do you have
impact on the community.
volunteers? Like, do you have times where you need volunteers to come help you, where we could hit the high schools up and say, hey, earn your hours?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so we actually at Marietta Mesa, we're friends with the athletic director and vice principal there. So that's where we've done our last 2 events. And yeah, the Christmas one, I thought it was going to take so long setting up the night before, and the whole baseball team was there.
Oh.
And then the cheerleaders are there the next day pouring the hot cocoa, and they're getting their hours. And so the only thing that's tricky with us is you're dealing with, you don't want to exploit vulnerable children. So what I didn't know either is you just can't take any photos or videos because you don't want to give up their identities, because they could be, you know, there could be custody battles going on.
Right.
They don't want their abusers knowing where they are, that kind of thing. So we just came up with a form that people sign so that they are well aware that they can't take any like photos or videos of the kids.
Totally
So
understandable.
that's the only sensitive part.
Yeah. No, that's a great part. It's protecting them. Finally, they
Exactly.
have someone looking
Mhm.
after them and have their backs.
Mhm.
Gosh, you guys are amazing.
Well, final thoughts, Susan?
My final thought is whatever we can do, however we can create, whatever people we can bring together in order to help encourage and build what it is the dream and the vision God has given you guys. Tell us what it is and we'll help you write the story. It is amazing what you're doing, and with each individual you're changing their heart, their life, and their soul and their destiny. And so thank you for being vulnerable enough to share with us your story.
Yeah, of
Mhm.
course.
Truly, truly. I need to have you come speak at an office meeting with Allie.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Probably go ahead.
She'll
We
throw you on
could.
stage.
Oh,
She
yeah,
loves
that
to
would
do
be
that.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, because we could, we could rouse up the troops and maybe get some good going here.
Well,
For
yeah,
sure.
well, when the book's out, I'll let you use me to come up.
Yes! I would
Mhm.
love to.
Definitely.
Let's do that, John
Absolutely.
Butler.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're honored, blessed, privileged, humbled, excited to see what God's going to do with you. And we're so glad that He brought you two together so that you could do the dynamic duo. It's awesome. You're blonde, you're brunette. You both have the best life. And it'll be fun to see you guys soar.
And
Yeah.
thank you for this opportunity,
Yeah,
by the
thank
way,
you
to let us
guys.
share and for the support. Oh my gosh, I'm still in shock by that. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Well,
Made
ladies,
my week. My
it has
month.
been an absolute joy and pleasure to hear your
Thank you.
stories, to see what's
Yeah.
going on. And,
Yeah.
I just love this spotlight
So cool.
ability to shine a light on your guys' story. Because the ripple effect of what you guys are doing, it's eternal. It's really, you never know what's going to happen. So it's just so powerful and dynamic. And I'm just honored.
Mhm.
It's just a spirit of love. So congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
we're here at your service.
Thank you.
And that concludes this episode of the
Yes.
Signature Studio Spotlight Series with the bald guy in the red tie, Susan Ebert, Alison, Maria, Rose Again Foundation. Make sure you check them out. Such a worthy cause. And that's it. See you in escrow. Bye.
Bye.